Good evening, dear viewers, and welcome to a new episode of the Daily Debate. Tonight we'll be talking about Egypt's foreign policy, and for decades it's been one of moderation and balance. And it's, as His Excellency the President said when he took over in 2014, that Egypt, with all its potentials, will remain open in terms of international ties. Egypt has always had a constance when it comes to its foreign policy, respecting international law, abiding by humanitarian laws, seeking peace, supporting the just causes in its region and all around the world, being open and friends to really just about everyone. And again, a foreign policy that has constance of moderation and balance. Tonight we'll be talking about that and how has Egypt's foreign policy evolved in this past decade, and what should we look for in this upcoming period, and going back again to the constants that have always been there, with the presence of our dear guest here in the studio, Dr. Milad Momtaz, international relations expert. A very good evening to you, Dr. Momtaz, and thank you for joining us here on ILTV International.
Thank you for having me.
Allow us first, Dr. Momtaz, as we always do in our debate, to watch the report that we've prepared for tonight's episode and then come back and start our discussion.
He has regained its pivotal position in the region, Africa, and the wider world since the 30th of June revolution. Over the past decade, Egypt has exerted extensive and tangible efforts in its foreign policy within various Arab, Islamic, African, and international circles. It has worked towards reclaiming its pivotal position and role for the benefit of its people, the region, and the whole world. Egypt has successfully restored its regional and international networks of relations to the desired level of balance, dynamism, and mutual respect. It has also contributed to the achievement of Egypt's national security goals, strengthened its military and economic capabilities, and maintained its historical and traditional foreign policy objectives. The post-30th June 2013 era has added fundamental dimensions upon which Egypt's foreign policy is based. After a phase marked by the contraction of Egyptian foreign policy due to the tumultuous events that the country experienced starting from January 2011, followed by 2 years characterized by the lack of a clear vision, the June 2013 revolution aimed to establish a strategic framework for Egyptian foreign policy based on several significant pillars. Egypt has invested in full international and regional cooperation in fighting terrorism, and aiming at its sustainable eradication became a major goal of Egypt's foreign policy in the post-30th June 2013 period. In addition to supporting the Palestinian cause and ending the war in Gaza, Egypt, through its foreign policy efforts, seeks to fully support all endeavors aimed at resolving crises in the region and protecting it from extremism and sectarian fragmentation. It has also been active in efforts to resolve the Libyan crisis and has contributed to supporting Yemen's legitimacy. It has also contributed to diplomatic efforts to resolve the Syrian crisis and has developed its relations with Iraq. On the top of the list, Egypt continues to advocate for the revival of the Israeli-Palestinian peace process, playing a crucial role in achieving a ceasefire in Gaza, along with delivering all sorts of aid. Egyptian foreign policy reflects the ability of Egyptian diplomacy to interact and positively engage with the new challenges in the region, and at the same time enhancing its partnerships with major and emerging powers worldwide through a complex network of growing relations.
Welcome back, dear viewers. Well, Dr. Momtaz, Egypt has always been a seeker for and a supporter of regional peace and regional stability and security. How has this role evolved in the past 10 years, and how has it been in the prior decades, the constants of the Egyptian diplomacy?
I strongly believe that Egypt, one of Egyptians' foreign policy, I'm talking about the priorities, the key priorities of Egyptian foreign policy is to ensure stability in the region. And I believe that we have our strong reasons for this. One of the most important reasons is that we've seen what happened, 2011 afterwards. I'm talking about the Arab Spring, namely. And we've seen the consequences of this. And the Egyptian presidency, I'm talking about President Abdel Fattah Sisi, since day one, he has been stressing on this, that without stability, no one can make it. So that cornerstone, or that fundamental thing, has been echoed in the Egyptian foreign policy and has been manifested in different ways and different forms. Verbally, that has been actually, stressed on, and practically speaking as well. Prior to 2011 situation was different, and the region itself had been through ups and downs. I'm talking about security-wise. 2011, afterwards, from 2011 onwards in different areas in the region, and we've been seeing this even till today in different areas in the region, namely if we talk about Syria, Libya, and other areas, of course, I shouldn't forget Yemen. So Sudan as well, and Sudan is a different case in that regard, and it's especially the devastating war that's been going on for a while now. So what I'm trying to get to is that stability is the cornerstone. Stability is the main thing in the formula. We can make it without stability, and that's, I believe, it's uncompromisable. People should understand that. For example, and everyone knows about this, economy, when it comes to doing business, we can't do business without stability, without security. So first step that we need to make sure it's there, so it is a stability. That's why when Egypt has been talking about this and has been highlighting this everywhere we go, that what stability is crucial, that's not an easy thing, and that's not just a mere word to be echoed or to be said. It's something that's very crucial, and we've seen this in Egypt. From 2013 to, I believe, 2018, 2019, war, as we kept on fighting terrorism, from that period, from 2013 to 2018, it was very crucial. And that's why I'm wondering, if you don't mind, let me mention this. People have been talking about economic development. I can't go against this. However, at the same time, there is no economic development without stability. And that's very obvious. It's very crucial. We can actually argue over this. Make sure that stability is there, then we can move ahead, and we're talking about development, economic achievement. But without stability, and even that's why, if you allow me talking about Gaza, for example, and what's been going on in Gaza, the whole region now is at stake. It's very dangerous. The
stability of the whole region.
The stability of the whole region.
So just as Egypt is keen on having inner stability in the country, it is very important for Egypt and for the entire region to have stability across the entire
Exactly, because
region.
it's all connected. As we're talking about our own stability, the whole region, that's why I'm referring to 2011 and the Arab Spring. Whether we actually, some people believe in the conspiracy theory or not, that's not my issue for now. But I'm talking about, generally speaking, it's all connected. It's all like, different dots, and we need to figure out how to connect these dots. So cornerstone, once again, it's stability. And that's why, not only as in terms of wars, we have had different initiatives. I'm talking about Egypt in the region. For example, let me go back to Gaza. We're talking about Gaza. Why actually Egypt is so keen, as you said? Why actually we're doing this kind of effort? Because of stability. Because actually, of course, Palestinian people, our brethren, Okay,
And historically, Egypt, of course, has been a strong supporter of the just Palestinian cause.
Of course.
Yeah.
Okay, we're dating back to 1930s. I'm not talking about 1948. I'm talking about 1930s. Okay, because some people don't really know about this. No, 1920s, 1930s, Egypt has been doing this, supporting the cause, and that's a just cause, of course. So once again, stability is a priority. I believe, personally speaking, it's the first priority, because we can't make it without stability.
And the whole world and the world's leaders look to Egypt historically by default, because of its importance, of its geographical location, of its weight, of its history, of its population, of its strength. They look at it as the cornerstone of stability in this region.
Because
so there's a huge responsibility.
Exactly.
That's, you know, by default, Egypt bears this responsibility.
Because, as you said, okay, historically speaking, that's what we have been doing. Okay, we're not doing, by the way, we're not an aggressive nation, by all means, historically speaking, and no one can argue, okay, about this. So we've been doing the opposite. We've been trying to help everyone. Okay, before our conversation, now we're talking about Africa. That's what we've been doing in 1950s and 1960s, what we've been trying to do. Okay, for example, supporting the liberation movements okay, in Africa. That was very obvious, 1950s and 1960s, with the different projects in Africa. Why actually join
and we were
forces?
supporting just causes.
Exactly. We talk about liberation. We talk about getting rid of colonial powers.
Exactly.
Of course, that is a very just cause, because we can make it without getting rid, okay, of colonial powers. Exactly.
Just as the Palestinian cause is very just, because it has to get rid of the Israeli occupation. Dr. Momtaz, dear viewers, will be going for a break now as the call for Al-Isha prayer, the Adhan Al-Isha, and we'll come back and continue our discussion. Welcome back, viewers. Thank you for staying with us. We are here with Dr. Milad Momtaz, the expert in international relations, talking about Egypt's foreign policy. And Dr. Momtaz, we were talking about some constants in the Egyptian foreign policy, but also the Egyptian foreign policy is dynamic, isn't it? I mean, it's never stagnant. So tell us about this change of status between, you know, constants, because we do have some constants, but at the same time being open to dynamics around us and globally.
Okay, first of all, I really like the question, because actually, you know, we have like fundamentals, as I said earlier. You know, one of them is security, one of them is the, you know, the national interest of the Egyptian people. Okay, which I think these actually fundamentals are unshakable and unchangeable by all means. However, depending on the situation, as you said, we actually react to the latest changes. Giving an example, and that example is highly complex. It's about the Russian-Ukrainian war. Some people, they believe that, okay, it's geographically distant. Why would we care about this? And actually, you know, Egypt actually has been suffering from this, directly and indirectly. And the reactions of Egypt, I think, is deeply and highly calculated. Okay, we've been seeing
the suffering is economic, maybe.
Economically.
Yeah, because of the wheat and other issues.
Okay,
yeah.
We've been seeing, okay, since that war and since 2013, 2014, that's what, okay, we're taking every single step very wisely. We don't just react. Okay, precisely speaking, when it comes to foreign policy, we've been learning this from actually history. Okay, states that react on the spot, okay, that's not okay. There is something wrong. And we've been actually, I'd get back to the Russian-Ukrainian war, but hastening foreign policy, I'd like to refer to another issue. It's about, okay, the Renaissance Dam in Ethiopia. Some actually people have been actually saying that, okay, wow, okay, you need to take action right away. Face it. And actually,
even the former U.S. president,
exactly,
Trump, had
because he is
you know, encouraged such a maneuver.
I would say it's not wise. That's unwise by all means. Okay, Egyptian presidency has been actually doing this. Not only saying has been doing this seeking every possible diplomatic measure, okay, to get it solved. Okay, we're not rushing into this. By the way, being actually or taking military measures or the decision to go into war is much easier than peace. Making peace is much harder and much more challenging. And that's what we've been doing in that case.
Egypt's choice has always been peace.
Yeah,
first choice.
Okay, exactly. You know, that's what we've been doing, seeking every measure. I still recall, and of course, I still recall this as we took the whole issue to the Security Council. I still recall what happened back then. Some people said, "Why taking it to the Security Council?"
Take it into your own hands. Yeah.
First, take it into your hands, okay? And secondly, because you know for sure the Security Council wouldn't be actually doing anything. And we knew about this, but actually we were trying to get the whole world to know about this, to know about the issue, because that's what diplomacy. So what is diplomacy rather than this, rather than getting everyone to know and getting everyone to join us and become on the same page with us? Okay, concerning that issue.
Concerning a just cause.
Exactly, just cause.
So from that angle, can I say that despite all of the suffering that the Palestinians, especially in Gaza, have had to face in some 9 months now, or 10 months or something, does that mean that because their voice, their case has been exposed now globally to an unprecedented manner, that from this specific standpoint that the just Palestinian cause has gained?
Yeah, totally agree. Why? Because I still recall that maybe first 4 months diplomacy was not clear enough, and I'm talking about the uproar, globally speaking, maybe was not that evident. Okay, I'm talking about 3-4 prior months, situation actually has drastically changed.
Absolutely.
Now we see that the encampments, okay, in the United States of America, I'm talking about college students, and even here would ask you, not only in the States, we've been seeing this in UK and other European countries as well. So, and we'd wonder, you know, how about those young men and women? Why all of this? Because of the getting to know more about the situation, about the issue, about the case. So imagine the other way around. No. So actually we weren't wrong about this. As Egypt has been calling upon this since day one, I'm talking about October 7th, we're not wrong about this. Diplomacy pays off, okay, but provided one thing, we do it the right way as we've been doing this.
Okay, very good. Another break. Allow us, please, dear viewers, and Dr. Momtaz, another report here on our main topic for tonight, and we will come back and continue this discussion.
Egypt's alliances with one power do not come at the expense of weakening relationships with others. This includes its relations with the United States in both its North and South American contexts, the European countries within bilateral frameworks, or through the European Union and the Asian nations with which Egypt has witnessed consecutive leaps in its relations in recent years. The continuation of Egypt's strategic relations with the U.S. has been reaffirmed in various fields. This has been evident in meetings and statements. Egypt has also succeeded in achieving political convergence and opening avenues for economic cooperation with the Latin American countries. In parallel, Egypt has opened new horizons for relations with other major powers such as Russia. The Egyptian-Russian relations has witnessed significant developments marked by mutual visits by Egyptian and Russian presidents, the signing of several agreements and memoranda of understanding and cooperation across various fields. Furthermore, new ties with other major powers such as China, due to Egypt's being part of the Belt and Road Initiative, have attracted significant Chinese investments, especially in the Suez Canal area, leveraging its strategic location. Regarding Egypt's foreign policy towards Europe, this has witnessed a strong boost over the past years. This has been manifested both at the bilateral level as well as through multilateral frameworks such as the trilateral cooperation mechanism with Greece and Cyprus. Egypt has elevated its relations to the level of a partnership agreement, and it has also directed its attention towards Asia and the Eastern Mediterranean region. Regarding relations with Asia, these have been based on mutual interests and numerous presidential visits with a view to boosting economic cooperation. Official visits to Singapore, China, Indonesia, Kazakhstan, Japan, South Korea and Vietnam have taken place, resulting in Egypt benefiting from the experiences and expertise of these countries in various fields, including development, education, industry, economic growth and attracting investment. Agreements and memos of understandings have been signed with India, Japan, South Korea, Singapore and other countries. Over the past decade, Egypt's foreign policy has invested in building relations with the world, aiming to establish strategic partnerships characterized by mutual interests, dialogue and mutual respect.
Welcome back, dear viewers. Back here with Dr. Milad Momtaz, the expert in international relations. Dr. Momtaz, again, Egypt is a cornerstone for stability in the region. In foreign policy, there is, something called the bilateral diplomacy, trilateral, multilateral diplomacy. How is Egypt making the balance between all of these types?
Actually, if we go back in time, we'd find that, okay, for example, like 30, 40 years ago, find that, okay, Egypt was not that balanced in terms of foreign policy. We were kind of going in one direction. And what we've been seeing in the last decade, the diversification of our foreign policy and not solely relying on one power. Despite the fact that, of course, South America has been around, has been, okay, they're everywhere in the world playing a very significant role. However, Egypt, being smart enough, not only smart enough, visionary, we talk about the future, not only relying on one power. Okay, giving, I think, a valid example in that context, China. Okay, we've been actually, building bridges, strong bridges with China now, trying to make it I'm talking about our foreign policy more multilateral, more diversified in that.
Although we are not in a bipolar world.
No, exactly. It's over now.
Yeah, it's not over. The US, USSR. I mean,
exactly.
It's not the Cold War of the 60s.
Theoretically speaking, it's over. Theoretically speaking, it's over. But now, okay, we're talking about, okay, that Cold War kind of back once again because of the Russian-Ukrainian war, kind of, the East-West conflict once again. It's back, especially with the threats using nuclear weapons, which is, of course, it's very threatening. Going back to Egypt, okay, I believe that's one of the strengths of Egyptian foreign policy nowadays, that we keep on diversifying our foreign policy. Balance and diversification, because through diversification, we get to that level of balance. For example, I still recall an example that happened, I think, a couple of years ago under Donald Trump's administration, as he decided to move the capital to Jerusalem. And I still recall the Egyptian reaction to this. It was very strict, and we took the case in our hands, getting everyone once again through diplomacy. We took it to the General Assembly of and the Security Council back then. And I still recall that they were so mad, Americans so mad, despite the fact that, we've had strong ties with the American administration, but at the same time, we were independent.
In Egyptian foreign policy, I mean, it's a constant that an independent, viable Palestinian state with the borders of pre-June 6, 1967, and East Jerusalem, Al-Quds as its capital, is then the two-state solution. I mean, it's
which is, it's very evident. However, I'm talking about putting it into play. We do this. Not only theoretically speaking, but practically speaking.
Right.
The last 10 years, it was evident, that kind of case.
You can't be with us and not make me ask you this, because I know that your PhD was from the US, from George Washington University to be more specific, and it was in the making of foreign policy. And the Congress, we know, has a big role in that. And so you had a master's and PhD in the making of foreign policy in the United States. So I want to ask you two questions. because we had both said, you know, former President Trump. So are we going to be saying this like a few months from now? Are we going to be saying former President Trump? Or how do you see the elections, I mean, going? That's one. And two, how will the situation or the the U.S. administration's policy towards the Gaza issue change or not if a Republican administration comes instead of the Biden administration? And how will President Biden continue, you know, in the final few months regarding Gaza?
Actually, the first question, I believe that you know, the coming months are very crucial. Okay, I'm talking about in United States of America regarding the presidential election. The picture itself, to me, I feel it's like kind of hazy, and it's vague. Why? Because the two candidates are not competent enough. We talk about one of the leading democracies in the world, and we look at their ages, you know, both of them, and I believe when it comes to that age group, I'm talking about 18 to 25, 30 years old in the States, I don't think that they have that kind of faith in the system. Because they believe it's what, okay, we need actually, you know, different candidates. We've been seeing, you know, these faces for a while now.
I mean,
so
the U.S. must have more than these two.
Exactly.
They must have 20 or 30
especially that, okay, we see that, okay, that the situation with the basis, okay, talking about, okay, that democratically speaking, you know, so whatever the basis for the two leading parties,
surely there are tens of Americans that could, you know,
it could be there. But actually, you know, with young men and women, okay, they actually, I believe that they don't know what to do. And
so you don't want to make a prediction, that's clear.
No, it's not about prediction. It's about, okay, that because of the cases, so many cases against Donald Trump, okay, it's hard to predict for now.
Hazy, I like the word. Yeah. So how will the President Biden continue in the next few months regarding Gaza?
President Biden, okay, if you look at the last 8 months, okay, he's been into phases. Phase one, fully supporting Israel, not seeing anyone but this country. And then phase two, trying to get to know about how dangerous the situation is, realizing that, okay, the consequences, the complications not continuing in the same direction. Third phase, okay, that we've been seeing in the last 3 months. That, okay, now what happened a couple of days ago about the security.
And we need humanitarian aid to trickle in.
Exactly. Going back in time, going back in time a couple of months ago, we wouldn't believe that the United States of America would have
and the Rafah operation should not go on.
So I think Biden is going in kind of, you know, that rational direction, little by little. However, the internal resistance in the United States of America, as we were talking about the Congress, okay, the Congress, the divide in the Congress is very obvious. And we actually have seen what happened a couple of days ago about the ICC. And actually, you know, actually the House, you know, House of Representatives, okay, wanting to punish, okay, an independent judicial organization. And actually, they took it to the Senate. The Senate actually said, no, we can't do this because it's unprecedented. We can't do something like this by all means.
Duties or
exactly,
you know.
And punishing an international organization for doing the right thing, it doesn't make sense. Exactly, you know,
jurisdiction.
It doesn't make sense.
So, will a Trump administration have a different stance towards Gaza, and how different will it be?
Taking into consideration, okay, what happened prior, you know, I'm talking about, okay, his first term, talking about if we will have a second one, okay, I believe Donald Trump is, okay, not competent enough. I'm talking about when it comes to international relations, and we saw that a couple of years ago. Okay, another example, if we actually forget for now, just for now, about Gaza and what's going on, about the relations between the United States of America and Europe.
Russia or China or...
Europe, actually the closest ally, okay, to the United States of America. And he gave them very hard time, okay, in his 4 years, threatening them, getting them to actually to say, okay, no more of NATO. By the way, he was very much against the NATO. And actually, you know, Europeans now are very much scared of what would happen if that guy actually go to the White House at the Oval Office once again. So unpredictable person because he's incompetent, he's inexperienced in terms of foreign policy. So the whole world actually is waiting for that kind of the moment of truth, as we say.
Okay, so you're saying that the global situation, which is already fluid, could be even more fluid if Mr. Trump comes. So not necessarily.
Yeah.
Maybe not necessarily.
Yeah.
Maybe he would have learned from his first term.
I personally speaking, I really doubt this.
Okay. And how will Egypt, then going back to Egypt, how will Egypt be dealing with, for instance, the Palestinian cause, the number one, cause for Egyptian foreign policy and diplomacy, if it is dealing with the Trump administration?
Okay, concerning Gaza and what's going on in the Palestinian cause, I'd like actually to mention something which is, I think, in my mind, is very crucial. Egypt hasn't changed its vision towards the case since day one. That proves for sure that we were right. Day one, we're right about this. We haven't changed anything. For example, stressing on the fact that no displacement. Okay, no emptying. We're not emptying. We're not canceling out the whole issue. We weren't wrong about this. Day one, and of course, we still recall this, Mr. President, okay, and Mr. Sameh Shukri, okay, frequently telling everyone, the different visitors, exactly, that's the red line. And they keep on asking us.
We will not allow the Palestinian cause to be liquidated.
And we've been asking, no matter how we answer this question decisively and strictly, we've been getting the same question again and again and again. And that proves that what we are not wrong about this.
Today Egypt says, and has been saying so and will be saying so, it rejects any Israeli presence at the Rafah crossing.
Exactly. And actually, that kind of gambling, that game, we don't accept it and we don't like it in Egypt. Okay, we are very much clear about our goals, our, the main cornerstones of our foreign policy. And when it comes to our national security, there is no games. We can't play games. It's our national security. We can compromise. We can say, okay, wow, okay, for example, how about Philadelphia corridor? For now, okay, no. We say no to this. We're very decisive. And I really like that kind of decisiveness and clarity in our foreign policy.
And the international community is starting, as you mentioned, things have changed in the past few months, is starting to maybe totally believe in the Egyptian vision, or would I be exaggerating?
Little by little, I believe so. That's been the case. Little by little, they're getting to know that we actually were right about this. Even European nations and the recognition of actually the Palestinian state. That proves that we're right. We're not wrong about this. But however, one thing I'd like to mention is about media and how crucial media is in that kind of situation. Because Israel has been lying to the whole world. It's been 75 years lying to the entire world. Now, once again, let me actually say that's a moment of truth.
Indeed. On that note, dear viewers, we thank on behalf of you very much our distinguished guest with us here in the studio, Dr. Milad Momtaz, the expert in international relations. It's been a great pleasure having you with us, sir.
Thank you.
And thank you, dear viewers, for watching tonight's edition of the Daily Debate here on Nile TV.